Huh?
Yeah. Jill shows she has her camera on. Jill.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you, Jill.
Yeah. The only one, Jill, and we mostly only see the top of your head.
I know. I can do that too. Just show the top of my head, I guess.
Something better than nothing.
Nothing.
But Radhika, where's Radhika?
Radhika is there.
I know,
I'm
but
there.
can we see you?
Yes.
There she
All
is.
right, Huddy Ball. Okay, yeah, if you don't want to be on, you don't have to, Radhika. Okay, so we'll start with the introductory prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Janajana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Jena Tajmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Dudati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagurajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamritam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavanishware Rishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vihevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from the second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized, text number 49. So I don't know if anybody is going to put it up, but anyway, I'll chant it. And if anybody has the Bhagavad Gita, they can chant it too. 249. Durena hi avaram karma. Yoga Dhananjaya. Saranam Anvicha. Kripana Pala Hetavaha. Durena hi avaram karma. Uryoga Nanjaya.
Dhananjaya.
Sharanam Anvicha.
Pandau Sharanam Anvicha.
Kripana Pala Hetavaha.
Kripana Palahetavaha.
Nahi avaram karma.
Duranahi avaram karma.
Yoga Dhananjaya.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddho Sharanam Anvicha.
Buddha sharanam anvicha.
Pala Hetavaha.
Krapana phalahetabaha.
Durena karma.
Durena avaram karma.
Yoga Dhananjaya.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Samanvicha.
Buddho
Buddha sharanam anvicha.
Palahetavaha.
Kripana phalahetabaha.
Durena hi avaram karma.
Durena avaram karma.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddha sharanam anvicha.
Buddha sharanam anvicha.
Kripanaha palahetavaha.
Kripana phalahetabaha.
Durena hi avaram karma.
Durena avaram karma.
Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya.
Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya.
Buddhau Saranam Anveccha.
Buddha Sharanam Anvecha.
Kripana Falahetavaha.
Kripana Palahetavaha. Durena Hayavaram Karma.
Durenahaya avaram karma.
Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddha Sharanam Anvecha.
Buddha Sharanam
Sharam.
Kripana Palahetavaha.
Kripana falahetavaha. Durenahaya avaram karma.
Durena Hayavaram Karma.
Buddhi yoga dhananjaya.
Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya.
Buddha sharanam anvicha.
Buddhau
Buddha
Sharanam
Sharanam Anvecha.
Anveccha.
Kripana falahetavaha.
Kripana Palahetavaha.
Dorena,
Durena
Durena
discarded at a long distance.
discarded
discarded
at a
at a
long
long
distance.
distance.
He
He
certainly
certainly
Certainly.
Avaram,
Avaram
Avaram
abominable,
Abominable.
abominable.
karma,
Karma
activity,
Activity.
activity.
yogat,
Buddhi
Buddhi
Yoga
Yoga.
on the strength of Krishna consciousness.
On the strength of Krishna
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 consciousness.
consciousness.
Dhananjaya,
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 conqueror of wealth.
O
O
conqueror of
conqueror of
wealth.
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 Buddha,
Buddha.
Buddha,
such consciousness.
in
In
such
such consciousness.
consciousness.
Sharanam,
Sharanam.
Sharanam,
full surrender.
Full
full
surrender.
surrender.
Vicha,
Anvicha.
try for.
Try
Strive
for.
for.
Vipanaha,
Kripanaha,
Kripanaha.
misers.
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 Alahitavaha,
Palahetavaha.
Palahetavaha,
those desiring fruitive results.
those
Those
desiring
desiring
fruitive
fruitive
results.
results.
Translation. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. And in that consciousness, surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. Purport. One who has actually come to understand one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord gives up all engagements save working in Krishna consciousness. As already explained, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving service to the Lord. Such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. Only misers desire to enjoy the fruit of their own work just to be further entangled in material bondage. Except for work in Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. One should therefore never desire to be the cause of work. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. Misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches, which they acquire by good fortune or by hard labor. One should spend all energies working in Krishna consciousness, and that will make one's life successful. Like misers, unfortunate persons do not employ their human energy in the service of the Lord. Durena hiya varam karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddho sharanam anvicha kripana palahitavaha. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. And in that consciousness, surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachani Nivasesa Sanyavadi Pasachade Satarne. So first I'll just go over the verse and then we'll go over the purport. O Dhananjaya, conqueror of wealth, is another name for Arjuna, because he conquered a lot of wealth in order to, I think it was for the Rajasuya sacrifice. He had to, and he went to different places and conquered a lot, and they got a lot of wealth. So he's named Dhananjaya. Okay, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. So when you engage in devotional service, naturally you're not going to be performing abominable activities. So you can keep those abominable activities. You can just use your own imagination of what abominable activities you could be engaged in, or someone can be engaged in, and they're far away by devotional service. So you can keep them far away by engaging in devotional service. It's like Prabhupada gave an example of a cup, I think a cup of milk, yeah, in an inky atmosphere. Now it's hard to understand, but if you have apparently maybe a cup of milk would stay full of milk and there's ink all around it. I never done this scientific experiment, but let's just assume that's a fact. So if you're full with Krishna, then there's no room for Maya. There's no room for abominable activities if you're full with Krishna. So if you have this cup of milk, but as soon as you just tilt the cup and let some milk out, then it immediately gets filled with ink or with Maya. So as long as we're full with Krishna, there's no question of any kind of abominable activities. They're far distant by engaging in devotional service. We're full in devotional service. So if we're fully engaged in devotional service, there's no room for Maya. It's when we relax, when we stop doing devotional service, then there's plenty of room for Maya. And in that consciousness, now this is engaging in devotional service, keeping abominable activities far away. In that consciousness, surrender unto the Lord. It seems like that's what you're already doing. So I'm not quite certain what that means. In that consciousness, surrender unto the Lord. Okay, I'm doing this devotional service, so I'm not quite fully surrendered to the Lord. So while we're in that consciousness, because we all have that experience, we engage in devotional service, but we're not fully surrendered to the Lord. So in that consciousness, we should fully surrender to the Lord. And those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. Now everyone works. Everyone wants to enjoy the fruits of their work. I mean, in this day and age, miser has a different meaning. Now, this is somebody who wants to enjoy the fruits of their work, wouldn't even be considered a miser in our society. A miser would be someone who, let me just change that here. I can't seem to fix this. Anyway, a miser would be someone who makes a lot of money but doesn't even spend it. They're considered misers. But here a miser is someone who uses his money for sense gratification. He spends his money. So in modern society, he would not be considered a miser. But in Krishna consciousness, if he's not using it for Krishna or spreading Krishna consciousness, he's and he wants to enjoy the fruits, how he can enjoy the money he's getting, then he's considered a miser, even if he's spending it. So there's a kind of a big difference in the word miser, how it's used today and how it's used in Krishna consciousness. Everyone is working. Why would I be working if I didn't want to enjoy the fruits of my work? I'm just working for you, working for somebody else, just working for Krishna. Yes, that's what we're supposed to do. Just be working for Krishna and offer the fruits of your work for Krishna. How do we do that practically? Now, you have to live. You have to have a place to live. You have to have, you have to have clothes. You have to have food. You have to have shelter. There's so many things you have to have. But if you use all that in Krishna's service, you have that. But at the same time, you're using it for okay. I just looked at somebody's, I don't know why I went to somebody's chat to see what they said, but that's what I did. Well, I don't know what I'm doing now. Okay, I can't do anything on the computer, but I can talk about Krishna consciousness, and I'll try to get back to that. So if you're maintaining yourself and you're maintaining your family and you're using these facilities for maintaining your Krishna consciousness, then that's also devotional service. But I mean, Prabhupada, when he was here, everyone did everything completely. Even if you had a job, you gave all the money to the temple. You lived at the temple. And he had people keep jobs because there wasn't enough money to even pay the bills. So I'm going to read a little bit of the purport. Afterwards, there'll be time for questions and answers. Hopefully good answers. Yes, I'm going to do something different here. My view, gallery view. Oh, well, I see a few people. If I could see more people, that would be nice. That means you have to turn on your video. Like Radhika, she turned her video on. So I'm going to go over the purport. One who has actually come to understand one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord gives up all engagements save working in Krishna consciousness. If I realize that I'm a spirit soul, why would I waste so much time to try to enjoy the senses of this body? Why would I use the fruits of my labor just to enjoy the sense gratification? And it's not even me. Why won't I use these fruits of my labor to actually enjoy myself? And how do I enjoy as a spirit soul? By serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. You just like when if you please Krishna, automatically you're pleased. So this is what I would be doing if I realize that I am an eternal servant of Krishna. And this is what we're all saying we are. Gives up all other engagements, save working in Krishna consciousness. That's it. As already explained, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving service to the Lord. Buddhi is intelligence. It's using your intelligence. If you're using your intelligence, you're going to be serving the Lord. Okay, such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. That's what the living entity should be doing. It's not that he doesn't act. He has to act. But instead of acting just for himself or his extended self, what's your extended self? Somebody tell me. I want to see if anybody's paying attention here.
Your family?
Yes.
Or like your community, your nation?
Right. It could go further and further. First, your family, your community, your nation, all human society.
Your neighbor.
What?
She said your neighbor.
Yes. No, maybe. Yes. So this is your extended self. It's still selfishness. You're not as selfish, but it's still selfish. I mean, the most selfish is you just think of you. You don't even think of your family. Most people aren't that selfish. Most people at least think of their immediate family. They want to take care of them. That's still selfish. And if somebody cares about, we got to do the best in our community, that's also selfish. You don't care about the other communities or our country. You give your life for your country because you care so much about your country. That's greater than just thinking of only you, but it's still selfishness. You're thinking your country. So this is what is called extended selfishness. So such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. Only misers desire to enjoy the fruit of their own work, just to be further entangled in material bondage. You engage in enjoying the fruits of your own work means you're going to continue with this cycle of birth and death. You're engaging further in this material bondage. The more you enjoy separate from Krishna, the more you're entangled in this material world. So it says, except for work in Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. So some may be more abominable than others, but they're all abominable. Anything that's done not in Krishna consciousness, any work done to enjoy the fruits of that work is considered abominable. So one should therefore, Prabhupada spoke very heavy. This is not just some, and why? Because this is what Krishna is saying. It's not what he's saying. Generally, when he talks with the individuals, he takes into consideration that they have so many attachments. And he tries to get them a little closer to Krishna. But this is like if you want to take it completely, this is what you should be doing. So you got to get to this point little by little. So you should give something for Krishna, not do some work, not trying to enjoy the fruits for yourself. And when you say yourself, that's also your family. That's yourself also, or your community, or whatever you happen to be attached to. So one should therefore never desire to be the cause of work. The cause of work means if you're working for your fruits, then you're going to get more work you have to do. And you come back. So don't be the cause of this work. You get free from work, which you read in the 3rd chapter, 9th verse, about how working for Krishna, there's no reactions. Everything else has a reaction. So everything everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. That's pretty simple. Everything you do for the satisfaction of Krishna. You don't do it for the satisfaction of yourself. You don't do it for the satisfaction of your family. You don't do it for the satisfaction of your community, your country, but for the satisfaction of Krishna. And if Krishna is pleased, everyone becomes pleased. They may not notice it because they're so detached from Krishna, but actually everyone becomes pleased. So misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches, which they acquire by good fortune or by hard labor. So they get this money, maybe by good fortune. They were born in a rich family. They inherit this money, maybe because they work really hard. They get all this money, but they don't utilize it for Krishna. It means they're misers. Misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches. I was just watching a video today in, I think it was in Ahmedabad when they first went there, the devotees, or Surat, one of the two, because they went to both places. I think it was Surat. And there was a very pious Indian man who took care of the devotees, and he did so much for the devotees. And the devotees all had dysentery, 30 devotees with dysentery staying at your place, and you and your family taking care of them completely. And then when they're leaving, he apologizes if he committed any offenses to them. And he even started crying. And the devotees couldn't understand it. Prabhupada said, this is Krishna consciousness. And then another family, the one man, not the one man, the whole family was very much interested in, because in India, a lot of Christians, a lot of Muslims, they try to change the Hindus to become a Muslim, or they try to change them to become a Christian. And they were working very hard. They didn't like this, and they wanted to keep, the Hindus. And when Prabhupada came with all the devotees, they were so pleased with what Prabhupada is doing. Not only is he keeping the Hindus, he's changing the Christians and the Jews and maybe some Muslims, but I don't think any Muslims were on that particular trip, into devotees, which they would consider to be like Hindus. So they all did what they could financially, even to support this, because this was their dharma. This was what they wanted. They were so pleased that Prabhupada was the only person who ever really done that, gone out of India and making people Hindus. Now, we don't consider ourselves Hindus, but that's what they would consider ourselves. And they were very, very pleased. And they financially supported Prabhupada. Not just this one man. his brothers all did. Then all the other relatives, everybody started helping. They all became life members in ISKCON. They saw this was a good thing. What Prabhupada was doing was such a good thing. So they gave up some of their money. They were a wealthy family for Krishna. So this is what we have to do as much as we can. So Mayas is, and also not just money, your own work. Engage in devotional service. Do something. And sometimes even Prabhupada would say, do something practical. You know, so there's so much we have to do to spread Krishna consciousness, and you can do something to help in that area, and that's really good. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. Mayas do not know how to utilize the assets of riches which they acquire by good fortune or by hard labor. One should spend all energies working in Krishna consciousness, and that will make one's life successful. And it won't only make your life successful, it'll make so many other people's life successful. Because this working in Krishna consciousness for us is working within ISKCON. ISKCON, Prabhupada said, I am ISKCON. It's working within this Hare Krishna movement. And in this Hare Krishna movement, what we do is we spread Krishna consciousness. We try to teach others about Krishna. People who have no idea what Krishna is, or people who have some idea and say maybe some mixed up idea, and try to straighten them out and get them to actually start giving the fruits of their labor for spreading Krishna consciousness. So like Mayas, unfortunate persons do not employ their human energy in the service of the Lord. So that's what we have to do. There's plenty of service to do, even in this pandemic. A lot of devotees are doing a lot of service. A lot of devotees doing a lot of service with the flowers. We've been getting a lot of flowers, so they've been working with that. And very nice personal service to the deities. And nobody's getting paid. And there's other services where people, we had some devotees come and help with the curtains just a couple of days ago. There's always so much to do if you can do it. And for preaching Krishna consciousness, the devotees went door to door trying to sell books. I don't know how they did, but they made the attempt, they made the effort. The results are up to Krishna. That's another thing. All we have to do is try. The results aren't up to us. The results are up to Krishna. So if Krishna wants, we can do, we can externally be very successful, or externally may not be successful. Prabhupada, when he came, he wasn't successful for a long time, approximately a year, but he kept trying. He didn't give up. And then he became successful beyond his imagination, what he thought it could be. And other people were so impressed. I just read today about Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada's, I think it's Prabhupada's senior godbrother, sannyasi, who was a sannyasi when Prabhupada was just a householder. And Sridhar Maharaj said how he knew. Lord Chaitanya said, Krishna consciousness will be spread all over the world, but nobody ever really understood what that meant. They didn't think it literally. They didn't really know what it meant. They didn't see how it can possibly happen. And that Prabhupada is the instrument for Lord Chaitanya for spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And this was Prabhupada's, he was a senior godbrother. And Sridhar Swami, he also, Prabhupada said that we can learn certain things from him. Certain, I forget what kind of things we can learn from him. Philosophical? Yeah, philosophical. We can learn some philosophical things from him if we have any questions, especially like after Prabhupada was going to leave the planet. Anyway, we have so many examples of Prabhupada showing us how to act. We're also watching another video of Rameshwar speaking about the Chaitanya Charitamrita, producing the Chaitanya Charitamrita. they were producing one volume of Prabhupada's books every 4 months. They'd finish it. They publish, they do the typesetting. There's a lot of work was involved. And they would do one volume every 4 months. So Prabhupada wasn't happy with that because there was 17 volumes that he already finished that they didn't start on. 2 from the Srimad Bhagavatam and 15 left of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So they had 17 volumes behind. So he was upset that they're taking too long. So they figured they can probably double it. They can do one volume every 2 months. And then they even went as far as to tell Prabhupada they can do one volume a month. Right now they're doing one every 4 months. Prabhupada said he wants the 17 volumes done in 2 months. Rameshwar said that's impossible. Prabhupada said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. So they started thinking about how they can possibly do this. It's like unheard of. They just, that's really not something you can do all the time. It's a lot involved. Plus they have to paint all the pictures. Every single book had all sorts of paintings in them. And they have to continue painting all the pictures and it's just like unbelievable how you can do 17 volumes in 2 months. But they because Prabhupada said it, they worked 24 hours a day. They had different shifts. The artists, they just painted and then they take a 10-minute break to eat something. Then they went back to painting. And not just them, all the other devotees who didn't, they brought prasadam for them. It said they also went out and, they shopped for them if they needed anything. They bought them what they needed. The other devotees did their laundry because they didn't stop, non-stop. They did this to get it done in 2 months. And we're not at the end of the video, but I'm pretty sure I remember that they did do it in 2 months, which is like really an impossible task. Everyone worked so hard for 2 months nonstop. And this one girl, she just moved into the temple and she was an artist. And she thought, well, she's gonna, they go out and chant, they do this. All she did was paint every single day for so many hours, 10 hours a day painting, maybe 12, I don't know how many hours, but she just painted. And they took this 10-minute break for eating something, 10 minutes to stop, and that was it. And she thought that was what they did all the time. She didn't know that was just a special 2-month marathon. Then she finally was able to relax after 2 months. A new person. Then somebody was swimming on the beach. The devotees started talking to him and they preached to him. And they brought him back to the temple and they found that he can paint. And they put him engaged in painting. He said, and he was expert at painting the background. So he did the backgrounds and then the devotees did the rest, the other devotees. And Krishna sent these people because Prabhupada wanted these books finished. Prabhupada was very much into book distribution. So
That included typing and transcribing and all that?
yes, everything.
Okay. Wow.
It was really, I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to see everybody. How do I get to see everybody on this? Oh, no, maybe I can't because you got this printing up. Okay, that's all. So we're finished with the verse. You can take that off. Yeah, they did everything. Yeah, so now I don't see everybody. I see 3 people and nobody else wants to show themselves. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't show myself.
Include 4.
What? Anyway, so this is real surrender. You just do. Prabhupada says, do the needful. That's surrender. If you see something needs to be done, you do it. That's all. Do the needful. And sometimes there's emergency. And I'm thinking about what they did for 2 months to do. That was like a real amazing, a miracle in one sense. but by Prabhupada's desire, it was able to come to pass. But similarly, sometimes we have a Rath Yatra, and not everybody, but a lot of people really work really hard for like several days or weeks before the Rath Yatra, getting a lot of things done. And that's like, it's really nice, and you feel good doing it. You feel good when you do devotional service, because you're doing it for Krishna and you're not getting anything. That's what you're doing for you, the soul. That's real concern for you by fully engaging in Krishna's service. And it's really a wonderful reciprocation you get from Krishna when you do that. So these devotees, of course, that was in Los Angeles, and they performed this great sacrifice for Krishna. And they're not the loser. They benefited eternally for doing that. So we should make some sacrifices as much as we can. We got some things that need to be done. We should try to get them done. Okay, I don't know what time it is. Oh yeah, I see. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything they'd like to say about this?
I still have a question. How could they have edited, typed, transcribed everything in 2 months? That's a lot. Did they have people, like 3 people typing, 3 people editing? Did
Well,
they
they
have
had
like
so many people were doing it. There was so many people. And then when they stopped, there's one devotee who drew a picture of Jadharani when she took a break, and she just painted, because she's an artist, but she drew a picture. And Jadharani is just like, just you fall asleep in the second you stop moving.
I have that picture, Pyare Prabhuji.
What?
I have that art picture of Jadurani Mataji.
Oh, okay. You saw that. Where did
They
you find it?
had devotees come in from all over. People who could type, people who could
Oh,
paint, they all
yeah.
came in.
Why don't you say it? Come in, so I don't have to repeat it.
They contacted all the temples and asked for devotees who could type, devotees who could paint, devotees, who, all the things.
edit, yeah.
Edit, and so they all converged there, Hayagriya came, and, all the Jayadvaita Swami and all the artists, and everybody could type. They all converged there, so they had a lot of devotees working.
And they had to feed all of these
Right.
people, huh?
Right,
Yeah.
so the temple devotees were working hard too, feeding everybody and cleaning and shopping and laundry, like you said, and.
Yeah, doing their service, getting them paint
Everybody.
material, whatever they
Yeah.
needed. Yeah.
Right, everybody was on that marathon mode, and
Prabhupada wanted, so the whole movement got together to do it for Prabhupada. Then they thought about, they, instead of doing all these paintings, if they can take pictures of some of these places, then they can do less paintings, because it took a long time to make a painting. So then Prabhupada authorized that, right?
Yeah.
And then what's his name? What was the devotee's name? Bhagava. I knew Bhagava. I worked with Bhagava when I first went to the temple, because I was interested in photography. And he worked at the press, and he did the photography. He had a whole dark room and developed his own film. So I kind of wanted to learn that. So I started to work with him. I worked with him for one day, then I worked with the press every day after that. But anyway, Bhagava, he went to these different places that describes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he took pictures, and that way they got some pictures in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that's some less paintings they had to do. But they did so many things because it was Prabhupada's desire.
And in those days, they didn't have fancy laptops and everything. They had to type everything, right?
Right.
Wow.
No. You can't just spell check or all the other things.
I know. It's so painful, it sounds.
Yeah, and it was possible. Where is that? Where is that, Rameshwar?
On Dunwatch, you can see it.
On Dundavats. You should all watch it. It's really, really good. Rameshwar.
I think it was on yesterday's. So just back forward to the next one.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
He
it's
said it was
really
on
good.
yesterday's. You can call Jiva if you try it, you can't find it. But it's really good. It just shows what can be done when you really surrender to Prabhupada.
Above and beyond,
Yeah.
the devotees just sacrifice.
Prabhupada was very pleased, so that they're just making a great sacrifice for Krishna.
And Prabhupada also was feeling that sense of urgency, huh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he never laid back and relaxed like, yep, now we've done it. It was never finished until everyone's Krishna conscious, and that of course never happened. Not that everyone is, so we should be like that too. I should be like that.
And so many people benefited from that service,
Yeah.
And he stressed how everybody needs to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that we can't understand Radha and Krishna without going through Mahaprabhu. So these books have to get out there so everyone gets the mercy.
Hmm. Oh, this was Chaitanya Charitamrita that they were working on?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought it was the
Very
Bhagavatam.
nice. Yeah, good. Paying close attention.
Yeah, I thought it was the Bhagavatam.
There was 2 volumes of the Bhagavatam and 15 volumes of
Volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. I missed that part, sorry.
Chaitanya Charitamrita was 17 volumes. They had 2 done,
Hmm.
but they had 2 volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam. Wow, that's a lot.
I'm telling you what I think. Just knowing Prabhupada, he's pure devotee. He's fully surrendered. But I'm thinking when they said 1 book a month, and he said 17 volumes in 2 months, I'm thinking because he's also a businessman, that he's waiting for the devotees to come back with, well, how about if we do,
Counter.
right? But he said it, and he didn't argue with them. They accepted. What happened? Can you hear me? Where?
Yes, we can, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can.
Okay. Somehow I just lost everything on this.
It shows that he's a a consummate businessman.
Yeah, I don't know that. That's
No,
what
I
speculation.
agree with you. I think you may be right, but we're not
Yeah,
sure.
you just tried. You just like when he went for buying Detroit Temple, they were asking so much money for it, which was a really, really good price, but we couldn't afford it. So Prabhupada started out when the owner was there. Normally you just deal with the realtor. He's dealing with the owner. And normally you don't do that, but he just did it. He skipped the realtors, went to the owner and told them, we're poor Brahmins, we're preachers, we're spreading God consciousness. You should donate this building to us. I know, Prabhupada knows he's not going to donate it, but that's what he said. And then the man said, no, the best thing I can do is for this price. And Prabhupada said, okay, we'll take it. He went down to the lowest possible price. So Prabhupada would do that often. I even think that with the japa, he said 64 rounds a day. And then I think he already had in mind 16. But he started with 64 and they couldn't do that. How can they do 64 rounds a day? Then he said, okay, 32. And then after 32 that's too much. And he says, minimum 16 rounds a day. And okay, we can do that. But if he just started with 16, we probably would have gone down to 8. This is my speculation, but I kind of think that in order to get us to be eager and happy to do 16, he started with 64. Anyway, that's what I think. But we accepted it, and he wasn't gonna say, no, okay, just do it. He stuck with it. But anyway, it's amazing what the devotees did to get that done. It's a big, it was part of the history of this movement. Very wonderful. And that's surrender. Okay, any other questions? I have a question. What are you eating, Radhika?
It looks good.
Shut it off.
Poor kid. She's such a sweet kid. She probably felt like bad that she's not sharing.
That's okay. I already ate, but thank you. Okay, so no other comments or questions? I can read the next verse unless we have any kind of a quiz. Maybe I should ask some questions.
And you were right about Surat. Remember you said, was it Surat? Yeah.
Well, he went to both places, but Surat was the most amazing, the way they treated the devotees. He went to a lot of places all around.
Did Janavarani say that Janak was from Surat?
Yes.
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 I am. No problem.
Wow. Surat ki jai.
Yeah.
They would close the street. They would tell where the devotees were going to be the next day, and they close all the streets, all the shops.
Yeah. They closed. Yep.
It did so much. And then there was another place they went. I think it was the other place. What did I mention before Surat? Ahmedabad. I think it was in Ahmedabad, where they also did some similar things like that. And they said that they told one of the mayor of the town, told him that even if Indira Gandhi was coming, we would not do as much as we're doing for you.
Yeah, in Surat, one day they closed all the shops and business and school also.
One day.
Holidays.
He said they would get so many garlands. They'd get 20 garlands. They can't wear them anymore. So they give them out to the people, and then they get 20 more garlands. And then this is all the devotees. There's so many devotees, and they just call. It was like, I wasn't there, but it was amazing.
When people would pull them in the house and feed them, want to
Really?
feed them and stuff, yeah.
She said that people would pull them into their houses and want to feed them, give them something to eat.
Yeah, Yamuna Devi writes, she really understood the Vedic culture of India there,
Yeah, they were really, really, really nice devotees. They had the hospitality. I have to go there sometime and see what it's like.
So Indradyumna Maharaj went there to that exact same street where they did, and now it's like a Muslim neighborhood, I think. So he had to take permission, and the person still allowed him to do that after he explained about my Guru Maharaj and all that. But for a short period of time, he held all the others at bay and let them do the kirtan through the same street.
In this video we're watching about, they first went to Egypt on their way to India. And in Egypt, this was just at the airport.
Yeah.
They went out and they had a big kirtan. And and they were some of them were like a little worried because they have all these people with machine guns. And, but they had this kirtan, and one devotee kind of was, he didn't even participate. He went near the plane or somewhere. He was chanting japa because he thought it was just too, they're all Muslims. Everybody is Muslims. So he was on his side. But then he saw by the side of a truck or something, he saw 2 machine guns just laying there. And then he saw one devotee chanting, by, I think, dancing and chanting, and 2
He's holding the hands of 2 Muslims.
oh, and he was holding the hands of the 2 Muslims, and they were also dancing with him. And they put their guns down so they could dance with him.
Here's Giriraj. Giriraj.
That was Giriraj?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Giriraj,
Maharaj, yeah.
There
Giriraj.
was a tense political situation. Later on, they were thinking like, how crazy we were. They should, that they were surprised that nothing happened.
No, everyone, you can see it in the video, they show the people. They seemed to be enjoying it. I think they thought they were crazy or something, but they liked it. They were smiling like anything. Everybody seemed to be enjoying it. I mean, the 2 guards put their guns down and danced with them. So
And I think Jamuna Devi says that plane that they were on, it was a miracle that it made it. She was
yeah. He mentioned something about it. It was like it's not for people. It was a cargo plane. So I don't know if it was just a cargo plane, but somehow she said it was just a cargo.
Even for a cargo plane, she said it was like pretty much a ready to conk out plane.
Yeah, Krishna had kept it going for Prabhupada.
Right. I think literally it kept going because of the devotees.
Anyway, there's so much when I look at these videos from the past, these are the videos here. I don't know if you have these. Following Srila Prabhupada, a chronological series.
We've given some out.
Yeah, I think I do.
But there's different ways you can watch them. One way you just watch it and what's going on at that time. But the better way is the memories. You watch it while the devotees who were there talk about it. That's really, really, I think, the best way to watch it. You can watch it both ways. Watch it one way and then watch it the other way. But it's just amazing how everyone was just so surrendered. If we can do that now, we can, what would happen in Connecticut? We can make Connecticut so much more Krishna conscious. Now I'm saying Connecticut because that's our area here. I'm not saying we can go on to the world, but we can start somewhere. Let's start one little area trying to make people devotees. Okay, so I think we can end this. I don't know, any other questions or comments? Radhika? See what she did? Anybody with a thumbs up?
You scared her away.
What?
Did you scare Radhika away? No, she's
Oh,
there.
no,
Hi,
I asked her.
Radhika. Hare Krishna.
I asked her if you have any questions and comments, and she put thumbs down.
Oh, sweet.
Still has no questions?
Rasaraj, are you there?
Prabhuji, he is not here.
Okay. Who's running the show?
Sevanandini?
I am the host, Prabhuji.
Oh, Manishi is, huh?
Manishi.
Who's the host?
Manishi.
Oh, really?
Manishi. Yes, Prabhuji.
You don't have any questions for us, do you? Okay, we got a couple of minutes. I'll just ask everyone. And if I can see you, you just raise your hand. If I can't see you, maybe I'll just call on people instead. Look up some things. That's good. Some questions. Okay. What is it? No, I'm gonna call on somebody and then ask. First, let me get the question.
What does Dhananjaya mean?
Yeah, okay, first who? How about Balabi Gopi? What does Dhananjaya mean?
Conqueror of the wealth.
What'd you say?
Conqueror
Conqueror
of wealth.
of wealth, yes,
Conqueror of the wealth.
yes. Okay, next question, Omio. Here's a question for you. What is a person called who uses his what he earns for himself?
What are the four options, Prabhu?
What?
4 choices.
No choices, no choices. What?
Only for himself.
If he uses only for himself or his extended self?
Oh, miser.
Yes, miser, you got it. Even without choices.
What does Buddha Yoga mean?
What does Buddha Yoga mean? But you gotta ask somebody, okay. Gita Mala, what is Buddha Yoga?
Krishna consciousness.
Sounds like that's in the form of a question.
Krishna consciousness. I think it
Yeah,
was
it
Krishna
does.
consciousness.
It does. What is the exact word?
Well, here it says means transcendental loving service. to
Yeah,
the Lord.
transcendental loving service. So,
Transcendent loving service to the Lord.
I know, with Krishna consciousness, you can answer that for almost any question we're asking. Okay, let's see.
Except for working.
No, but just a second, Pyari.
Blank.
With the yoga translation in that verse says that's what it says. That's how in that verse it says Buddhi Yoga on the strength of Krishna consciousness. Buddhi Yoga. That's
Okay,
why I
we
was
give
answering.
you credit. We give you credit. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we put those points back on her.
That's a word for word, but in the translation, in the
Right.
purport, it says devotional service.
I had another question. Oh, yeah. Who should I ask? Let's see. Anybody want a question?
How about Manishi?
Okay, Manishi,
smiling.
thank you for volunteering. What is abominable activities?
Any fruitive activities maybe which keeps us in material activities, maybe a repeated cycle of birth and death. This is what I heard in the purport. It says any fruitive activities which binds us to the repeated birth and death is abominable.
Okay, we can accept that. Anybody want to say something else who didn't read it in their book?
Except for work in Krishna consciousness.
I think you're reading it.
No, I know, Prabhuji, which is not Krishna conscious, that's all things are like
Well,
abominable.
it says, except for work in Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. So you're right. I just wanted to make it clear that all activities, except in those in Krishna consciousness, are abominable.
Wow, never thought of it that way.
What should be done in
Why
Krishna
you gotta pick
consciousness?
someone?
Okay, how about Shuddha Bhakti? Are you there?
Yes, Mother Jiva.
What should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna?
To engage in the service of spiritual master and the devotees.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's there too.
Well,
Anybody want
what
to
is-
elaborate?
I mean, like basically to spend time in serving the.
I'm looking for
Devotional
one word. I'm looking
What are
for
you
one
looking?
word.
Okay.
Am I in the wrong word?
I think you're in the wrong verse.
49.
Yeah. You're looking up at the top here.
It's an old book.
Oh, she's using an old book.
One word. What should be done? Blank should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna.
Service. Devotional service.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the one word?
Everything.
What is the word?
Everything.
Everything. Oh, okay. Okay.
So whatever you say is correct because it's everything.
Thank you for passing me, Jivama. You're always kind.
Okay. Anyone else have a question they'd like to ask anyone? Who was laughing?
What's so funny?
Who was laughing? I think that was good. I like their laugh. But, I mean, you can pick anyone you want and you can ask them a question of what we said, what we discussed, or what we read.
So how is Krishna satisfied? You said like you can do everything in Krishna's satisfaction.
So you're asking us this question.
Yes.
No, that it says everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. See, that Krishna consciousness satisfies Krishna. That's how I read it.
I see.
Done in Krishna
Everything you
consciousness.
do, you do it in Krishna
Yeah,
consciousness.
and that satisfies Krishna.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever you do, he says, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all the studies that you perform should be done as an offering unto me. So everything should be done for him. And he's happy when you do that.
But if you're doing something for Krishna, aren't you automatically in Krishna consciousness? Does it have to be stated separately? That it has to be done in Krishna consciousness?
No, you're doing something for Krishna. And then what are you doing next?
Not thinking about him, you're saying? I'm just automatically.
No, I'm
doing it
asking,
as-
okay, what are you doing? Give me an example, what you're doing in Krishna consciousness. You're distributing books. Let's just say you're distributing books in Krishna consciousness. Okay, what do you do after you finish distributing books?
You
Book.
give the money to the temple.
Very
It's
good.
collected.
And then after you give the money to the temple, the point is everything. What else are you
Everything
gonna
you
do? Every single thing you do.
Thing, okay, like, yeah.
You gotta eat, so you cook.
Eat.
You know.
You relish the prasadam, knowing it's Krishna. Everything you do.
Yeah, when you sit, you think of Krishna. When you stand up, think of Krishna. Yeah, my grandmother used to have a song.
When you sleep, you
When you bathe, you think of Krishna. When you sleep, you think of Krishna. Yeah. When you eat, you think of Krishna. It was a Vitala actually. Khata bole Vitala, Nanchata bole Vitala, Vitala bole Vitala, you know, Snana karata Vitala, like whatever I translated, you know, in Marathi. She used to have a song.
Well, that's a good song. That's what you have to do. So that's everything is done for Krishna. In Krishna consciousness. Everything is done in Krishna consciousness. Whatever you're doing it, you're thinking of Krishna. Anyway, I still got a couple of rounds to chant for Krishna.
after 8.
Yeah, so we're gonna end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
I have to eat Krishna consciously. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, thank you everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, go eat for Krishna. Do it for Krishna.
Vaishnavand ki jai, Pyari Prabhu Jiva Mata ji ki jai.
Hey.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So clear.